Hi guys, it's Dr. Curtis, and this is your first screencast. This is the distributive property of multiplication. This is one of my most favorite properties because when I was in school, this is the one that helped me finally understand the algorithm of multiplication. I had teachers that just said put the zero in when you multiply, but they never would tell me why, and I always wanted to know why. After learning the distributive property, I finally understood why. So here we go. Before we start, I want you to think about what the word distribute means. And distribute means to share, to spread out, to give a little bit to each, or to divide and give out in shares. So now as we talk about the property, remember that distribute means to share or spread out. The actual definition for the distributive property of multiplication is the breaking apart of factors into ones, tens, hundreds, etc. And then you multiply each of those by the other factor that's also been broken apart into ones, tens, or hundreds, etc. if it's needed. And this breaking apart then allows you to find the partial products. But oh my, what are partial products? So, what are partial products? They are products found by breaking one of the factors into ones, tens, hundreds, and so on, and then multiplying each of these by the other factor. Sort of sounds familiar, doesn't it? But these partial products then that we get are added together, and that's what helps us find the actual product. Look at this word partial right here. Do you see the word part in it? So a partial product is just part of the product. And what is a product? You know this one. That's right. This is the answer you get when you multiply. So a partial product is part of the answer. So here is our math problem. This is the one we're going to start with. 46 times 38. Now, you know the traditional way, which is called the math algorithm or the multiplication algorithm of how we would normally solve it, but I want to show you today how that works. So, what we have to do first is we're going to take our problem, and would you agree with me, if I take 46, how could I break that up? Could I turn that into 40 plus 6? Does that equal the same thing? Yes, it does. And so if I just broke 46 into 40 plus 6, what do you think I'm going to do with 38? Could I break 38 up into 30 plus 8? Would that work as well? All right, so now we understand that part. That's the breaking the factor up into ones, tens, and hundreds. And now we're going to continue with our process. So we have our problem, 46 times 38. Now we need to multiply. And we're going to multiply 8 times 6. And then we're going to multiply 8 times 40. And finally, 30 times 6 and 30 times 40. So those are our four problems that we get, our four broken down multiplication problems from separating our factors out up here. So let's look at that again. And now let's multiply. What was our first problem? 8 times 6. That's correct. And what is 8 times 6? It would be 48. And now we multiply 8 times 40, which is 320. And if you look, we have 8 times 4, that gives us 32, and then add a 0, 320. Okay, next step, we're multiplying by our tens. 30 times 6 equals 180. 3 times 6 is 18 plus a 0. And finally, 30 times 40, which is 1200. 3 times 4 is 12. 0 times 0, or not 0 times 0, but I add my two zeros here. If I add these up, these are my four partial products. If I add these up, I then get 1,748. Pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, let's look one more time. So here is my distributive property. Here's my traditional algorithm. And look at this. This is just way cool. Right here, normally we would have multiplied 8 times 6 to get 48, carry the 4. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 4 is 36. Look at this right here, 48 plus 320. What is 48 plus 320? Isn't that 368? There's my partial product from multiplying 8 times 6 and 8 times 40, or 8 times 46. My next step, here's that 0 that your teachers always tell you to stick in there, and then I multiply 3 times 6 is 18, carry 1, and 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13, and look over here. Is this not cool? 180 plus 1200 equals 1380, and that's because I multiplied 30 times 6 and 30 times 40. When I add these two up, I get 1,748, which is the same thing that I got over here by breaking all of my numbers apart, by breaking my factors up. So that is the distributive property of multiplication. Pretty cool, I think. I want you to try it. Take 75 times 63, write it on your whiteboard. First step, break 75 up, break 63 up, find your partial products, and then add.